Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be showing you how I turned this 12 by 12 by 18 glass terrarium into a bioactive setup for my morning geckos. I'm going to be showing you step by step how I got this glass terrarium to be looking how it is now. The first step in making a bioactive terrarium is the false bottom. People would normally use clay balls or something like that, but today I'm going to be using river rocks. Smaller gravel or pebbles like that would also work. You just want something that would allow water to go through it. The drainage layer is important because it allows water to run through the substrate and not be saturated in all the water that is misted into the terrarium. Any water that is collected down here also helps with humidity in the terrarium. It's just an all around good thing for your bioactive setups. The next step, as you guessed it, would be substrate. Normally, people would put a layer in between the false bottom and the substrate, such as window screen or mesh, to hold the substrate above and not allow it to touch the false bottom. But since I'm using a very dense river rock and not using balls, it allows for the substrate to be held up a lot easier, and I'm not really too worried about it. So I'm going to be adding all of this. This is a mixture of cocoa fiber, soil, and Bark, which you can all find at your local pet store. Now, I'm doing a pretty thick layer, and I'm also going to be adding more in the back to allow for plants. Every bioactive setup needs plants. Now, on the topic of plants, we're going to be adding the first plant now. This is an arrowhead plant that I got at my local Lowe's. Now, I like this plant because of how tall it is. Normally, you would have to be careful with the plants that you put in your terrariums, because the animal that is in there may ingest them and it may be detrimental to their health. But mourning geckos are so small that they normally don't eat any plants like that, so you don't really have to worry. This arrowhead plant is going to be nice sitting in the back. I add some more substrate around it to hold the roots nice and deep in there. Now the next step is the cork bark step. This step is very tedious because it's like doing a puzzle that doesn't really fit together. Now, I'm trying my best here to get some sort of height, but I do want to have some plants up top in one of the cork barks, so I don't really know how this is going to work. I'm going to end up scrapping this idea and going with a whole nother setup. Now, I'm going to be grabbing one of my shorter pieces of cork bark because it has a wider hole that will help me place one of the bigger plants in there. I decided to go with two plants that have big leaves, that way the mourning geckos have lots of space to climb on. Now, I'm going to be adding some substrate into the cork bark, allowing for the roots of this next plant to go down into the ground. Now, you want to make sure that your plants are angled correctly. That way, you get the fullest look out of your plants. See how I turn them, and the plant instantly looks 2 times bigger. You want to be able to see the faces of the leaves. Now, I added the fern. I like this fern because it seems to fill up the bottom of the terrarium really well and gets rid of the negative space that was down there. Now I'm adding more substrate to get those roots in there and make sure that this plant doesn't end up getting ripped up. I don't think I have to worry about that though because the mourning geckos don't seem like they'd be able to do that, but I still want it to look good. Now it's time for the second piece of cork bark. The first piece that I put in is kind of useless because it's filled with dirt and substrate, so the mourning geckos can't really go inside of it. So this second piece allows for them to go in. I'm also adding a nice little branch allowing for more climbing space, even though there's plenty of climbing space already with all of the plants. But I want them to have the best life they can. Now, if you're asking in the comments, a 12 by 12 by 18 is plenty big enough for how many mourning geckos I have in here. Honestly, I could fit about 10 in here perfectly comfortably, but I think we're gonna just stick to the three that we have now. Now, I'm just misting down the plants, that way they can get settled in. Now, it wouldn't be a bioactive setup if we didn't have any springtails, so we're gonna be adding those now. Now that everything else is completed, it's time to put these mourning geckos into their new homes. First, I'm gonna give it a little mist down, then we're gonna take them out and put them in. Now, I am going to be getting some cork backgrounds for this enclosure, because as you can see there is a small crack in the left panel. I did seal it up, so they will be fine. I just want to cover it up. So I will be adding a cork background on the far back and the left panel, making it almost like a corner. Now, these little geckos, as you've seen from my previous videos, are very fast. They're also very small. As you can see, that first one hopped right onto that leaf. And we're going to be getting some B-roll shots once I get them in here. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and please do consider subscribing if you like content just like this. I'm going to be trying my best to post once a week, and be looking out for more bioactive terrariums and enclosures like this one. Thanks for watching. Peace.